Hello everyone. Today we will talk about concubines and their daughters. Why was it so prestigious to give birth to shehzade? What happened to the concubines who gave birth to girls? Pros and cons of the birth of girls and boys. What were the concubines who gave birth to girls supposed to do? So, let's start to understand from the very beginning. There has always been a desire to see the palaces where the rulers who ruled vast geographical territories lived, and to find out what kind of life they lived there. Especially when it comes to the palaces of the Ottoman sultans. Harem, originally known in the Ottoman Empire as Daruz Saad, has always aroused curiosity. It dates back to the 16th century. This place is surrounded by high walls, and entry is prohibited, except for men who have certain duties. And if you add to this beautiful concubines, inside, this institution has turned into a real house of secrets. What is it, a harem? The word harem, which originally means hurrem, in Akkadian, which means to cover, hide, keep from others, separate, isolate, means a protected, sacred and revered thing or place in Arabic. Parts of houses, mansions and palaces, usually facing the courtyard, where women can comfortably continue their daily lives without meeting foreigners, are called harems. The cities of Mecca, Medina, Jerusalem and Khalil, where disrespectful behavior is prohibited and where people go mainly for worship, and sacred places in these places are called harems. In the Ottoman Empire, a harem, which is a part of palaces and mansions reserved for women. The harem is the sultan's house. The harem is not only an institution specific only to Eastern Muslims. Harems also existed in the palaces of China, India, Byzantium, ancient Persia and even Renaissance Italy. Here, women also lived in isolation. However, the harem is an institution in the Ottoman palace, and from Enderun's point of view, it is a place of education for women. Servants of the harem. The structure of the harem resembles a pyramid. Each layer has its own characteristics, and the transition from one layer to another depends on personal characteristics, education and environment. The wives of the Ottoman sultans were given names such as Iqbal, Haseki and Bayan Efendi. Before the period of Suleiman the Magnificent, although there were exceptions, Ottoman sultans entered into political marriages with the daughters of Anatolian beys, Byzantine emperors, Serbian and Bulgarian kings. Mainly because of the conditions of that period. Since the reign of Mehmed the Conqueror, who restored the Ottoman state administration in all areas, marriages with concubines who grew up and were educated in the palace and whose ethnic origin was the subject of controversy have become commonplace. Harem is a complex consisting of various sofas, corridors, rooms, fountains and outbuildings. Located to the left of the divan courtyard in the Topkapi Palace, in the back of the divankhane, overlooking the Golden Horn. The walls of the harem were covered with the most valuable tiles and marble and decorated with inscriptions. It was covered with domes and vaults. Since the master of the harem is the sultan, the hierarchy here, as well as the location, furnishings and distance to existing buildings are determined based on the sultan's office. The people of the harem can be divided into two groups: mother sultan, haseki, sultans and those who served the sultan, as well as kalfs, maids and concubines. The genera of shehzade and sultans. If the concubine gave birth to a boy, then she was no longer allowed into the sultan's chambers. It was believed that the woman had fulfilled her duty to the empire, and now she needed to take care of her son. The concubine was moved to separate rooms after giving birth. Nannies and maids were assigned to her. The girl was given a bunch of gifts, and after all this she was called sultan. The Ottomans informed the empire that the sultan had an heir. 7 shots from a cannon. The holiday was buzzing in all the houses of the state. If the concubine gave birth to a girl, then the sultan fired from cannons not 7 times, but 3. The girl lived without worries and did not need anything. She received the best education and upbringing. When she reached puberty, she was married off to high officials. But what were the disadvantages of having a concubine give birth to a girl? A woman after giving birth did not have such respect as shehzade's mother. The concubine could easily have been given in marriage, despite the fact that she has a daughter. But there were also advantages. The Fati law did not apply to girls. The concubine had the right to continue visiting the sultan, and the opportunity to have another child.